नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Reading from first canto, 8th chapter, text number 7. Amantrya Amantrya Pāṇḍuputramscha Shayane Uddhava Samyutaha Shayane Samyutaha Dvaipayanadibihi Viprai Dvaipayanadibhirvipraihi Pujitai Pratipujitai Pujitai Pratipujitai Amantrya Pāṇḍuputramscha Shayanyuddhava Samyutaha Dvaipayanadibhirviprai Pujitai Pratipujitai Amantrya Pāṇḍuputramscha Shayanyuddhava Samyutaha Dvaipayanadibhirviprai Pujitai Pratipujitai Pāṇḍuputramscha Shayanyuddhava Samyutaha Dvaipayanadibhirviprai Pratipujitai Pāṇḍuputramscha Uddhava Samyutaha Pratipujitaha. Amantrya, inviting. Pāṇḍuputran, all the sons of Pāṇḍu. Cha, also. Shayane, Satyaki. Uddhava, Uddhava. Samyutaha, accompanied. Dvaipayanadibihi, by the rishis like Vyāsadeva. Viprai, by the brāhmaṇas. Pujitai, being worshipped. Pratipujitai, the Lord also reciprocated equally. Translation and purport by Śrīla Prabhupada. Translation. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pāṇḍu, also having been worshipped by the brāhmaṇas, headed by Śrīla Vyāsadeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings. Translation with repetition. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa then prepared for his departure. He invited the sons of Pāṇḍu, after having been worshipped by the brāhmaṇas, headed by Śrīla Vyāsadeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings. Purport. Apparently, Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa was a Kshatriya and was not worshipable by the brāhmaṇas. But the brāhmaṇas present there, headed by Śrīla Vyāsadeva, all knew him to be the personality of Godhead. And therefore, they worshipped him. The Lord reciprocated the greetings just to honor the social order that a Kshatriya is obedient to the orders of the brāhmaṇas. Although Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa was always offered the respects due to the Supreme Lord from all responsible quarters, the Lord never deviated from the customary usage between the four orders of society. The Lord purposely observed all these social customs so that others would follow him in the future. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We are reading from the verses from the 8th chapter named after prayers by Queen Kunti. So, as Sutta Goswami is narrating the Bhagavatam that he has heard from his spiritual master, Shukadeva Goswami, he is narrating to the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi. So, he is explaining about the incidents that happened just after the war of Kurukshetra. Lord Krishna, being the king of Dwarka, had come to Kurukshetra and he had helped his dear devotees Pandavas to have the privilege of being the emperor of the world, and that's how they were reinstated, and Yudhishthira was reinstated as the emperor, and after the war, and he is now trying to leave to his kingdom Dwarka. That's the context. So, just for us to understand why did he had to come, if we just read the previous verse translation, why did the whole war happen? Prabhupada, Sutta Goswami explains in just one of them. The clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthira, who had no enemy. By the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhana were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi. So we know this. If we have to understand the customs that everybody of us are supposed to follow, and here Lord himself is following those customs. What are those customs? Are explained in this. Just before the departure to Dwarka, he invited the sons of Pāṇḍu, and then after having been worshipped by the brāhmaṇas, headed by Śrīla Vyāsadeva, the Lord also reciprocated greetings. So, for example, we see in our community some of the devotees come from different centers, get trained here, maybe stay here for a while, maybe 1 year or 2 years, and then when they would want to leave from here, probably they greet each other. and tell everybody, all the community members, that to the seniors they would probably seek blessings, to the juniors and equals he would probably greet and then go. So what is the significance of this greeting? And Lord Krishna himself is greeting here. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but when he was in this world acting as a Kshatriya, he took as a kingdom, he was ruling in Dwarka. When he was leaving the place after reinstating Yudhishthira as the emperor, he was greeting all of them. And here we see, as a Kshatriya, he is supposed to pay obeisances to the brāhmaṇas. That he did it. But there, the brāhmaṇas headed by, here the names are given, Satyaki, Uddhava, Vyāsadeva. They were all brāhmaṇas and they knew the position of Supreme Lord. So they knew that although Lord is seeking our blessings before his departure, they knew the Lord Krishna's position and they indeed worshipped him. That's what is mentioned here. After having been worshipped by the brāhmaṇas headed by Śrīla Vyāsadeva. So Prabhupada writes in this context, even though Lord, when he came in this world, played different roles. Some of the roles that we all know. In the Vrindavan, he was as a cowherd boy, representing Vaishya community, kind of. In Dwaraka, he was as a king, representing as a Kshatriya. And in Kurukshetra war as such, he played the role of a charioteer, which is the job of a Shudra. Apparently, he played all these roles, being as a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or Shudra, but we all know he is a Supreme Lord. He is beyond that. But Prabhupada writes, the Lord purposefully observed all these social customs so that others would follow him in the future. When he was leaving, he was in the position of a Kshatriya, and as a part of a Kshatriya, he was supposed to be guided or seeking blessings from a Brahmana. Who are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras? We all know. They are the four orders of the life, social orders in the society that is created by Lord himself. We see from Bhagavad Gita, right? Chaturvarnyam maya shrishtam guna karma vibhagashaha tasya kartaram apimam vidya kartaram ahavyayam. I have created these four orders and I am beyond this. Krishna declares that. But still, when he comes in this world, when he plays some role, he plays it perfectly. Not just in terms of duties, that these divisions are to. A Vaishya has certain particular duties to do. A Brahmanas have particular duties to do. Similarly, the Kshatriyas and Shudras. But the aspect that we need to learn is the customs that Lord created are very important for the humanity or the society in large. That's where people, we have also heard yad yad acharati shrestha tadat eva tarojana. As the superiors do, the inferiors follow them. So Lord is setting an example how a society should run and how each one of the works that they are doing with guna and karma. So each one of us have some works, karma, according to our gunas. Isn't it? If somebody is little brahmanical, sattva guna kind of course, all of us have some mixed gunas based on the days, time and situations, our modes keep changing, but by and large, our gunas can be determined. So who determines? We all know. Who is the best person to determine our gunas? The scriptures say the parents, the spiritual master, the king. These are the persons who have responsibility for the common man, for identifying the gunas, accordingly give them particular works so that the society is in harmony. So we see here, I was just trying to read from a Krishna book where Rukmini sends a letter to Krishna asking her to get kidnapped, isn't it? And that is through a brāhmana. That letter was sent through a brāhmana. And we will see from here this conversation that Prabhupada writes. How did Krishna receive that brāhmana when he got that letter? This is very, this will write to the context and for us to also understand how Krishna himself dealt with that brāhmana. It is quite amazing when I was reading. So this is at the context then, brāhmana comes with a letter and reaches the doorsteps or the gate of the Dwarka or the king palace. So Prabhupada writes, reaching the gate of Dwaraka, the brāhmana informed the doorkeeper of his arrival, and the doorkeeper led him to the place where Krishna was sitting on a golden throne. Okay? Brahmana goes in and Krishna is sitting on a golden throne. Since the Brahmana had the opportunity to be Rukmini's messenger, he was fortunate enough to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the original cause of causes. Even the Brahmana felt fortunate. Oh, I am fortunate for being the messenger of Rukmini that I got the opportunity to see Krishna. Okay? See now, the Brahmana is the spiritual teacher of all the social divisions. Prabhupada writes, he is the spiritual master for all the divisions. A Brahmana is supposed to guide all the society. Maybe they are Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. That's their responsibility. A Brahmana is the spiritual teacher of all divisions. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa, in order to teach everyone the Vedic etiquette of how to respect a Brahmana, immediately got up and offered his throne. So, Krishna gets up and requests the Brahmana to sit on his throne. That's how the Brahmanas were treated. Here, Krishna is playing the role of a Kshatriya. So we know, recent past, maybe not very recent past, even in the Chandragupta Maurya, all those ages, maybe 500 or 1000 years back, we see Brahmanas were guiding the kings, the Kshatriyas. They were taking the advice. So further here, it is quite interesting what all Krishna did after making him sit on the throne. In this way, he taught everyone that worshipping his devotee is more valuable than worshipping him. Okay, Krishna is reinforcing that worshipping devotees is more. So, here is still more what Krishna can do as a Kshatriya or being a Supreme Lord, but playing the role of a Kshatriya. In due time, the Brahmana took his bath, accepted the meals, and lay down to rest on a bedstead, completely bedecked with soft silk, and he was resting. Lord Śrī Kṛṣṇa silently approached and with great respect put the Brahmana's legs on his lap and began to massage them. In this way, Krishna appeared before the Brahmana and said, "My dear Brahmana, I hope that you are executing the religious principles without difficulty and that your mind is always peaceful." We see here a very irony. Krishna is kind of respecting him, taking care of him, massaging his feet, and then Krishna is also asking, O best of the brāhmaṇas, you should always remain satisfied, for a brāhmana is always self-satisfied. He will not deviate from his prescribed duties. It looks like he is giving some instructions, isn't it? You make a person, take care of him in a way that he is eluded, you massage their feet and then you instruct them. You must be satisfied with your duties. This is a little irony, but that's how the Supreme Lord, when he is playing as a Kshatriya, as a part of a Kshatriya, he is taking care of a Brahmana, but he knows what he should be. As a Supreme Lord, he is also instructing. As a Brahmana, he should be satisfied, he should be prescribed, he should be sticking on to his duties. So that's how, even we will see, of course, in the next chapter, Brahmana goes back and says the message that Krishna is about to come to Rukmini, and Rukmini feels so obliged that this Brahmana has done my work, and it is told, Prabhupada writes, Rukmini thought for a second, I should give this Brahmana all that I possess. But that moment she did not know what to do, but she pays obeisances to Krishna. And Prabhupada writes, paying obeisances to Brahmana. And Prabhupada writes, paying obeisances to a person is such a great aspect. She wanted to give all her possessions, but at that moment she did not know what to do, but she paid obeisances. Means paying obeisances to a person means a lot. You are obliged to that person. So among the devotees, we all know, we all greet each other, pay obeisances to the seniors. So this means a lot. So this is the system set up by Krishna himself. He is playing the part of a Kshatriya perfectly. He is setting as an example. And we all know, Prabhupada wanted this society to make brāhmaṇas, Brahmanical culture. Of course, although we do act with different capacities as a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, each one of us, but he wanted primarily to have our qualities to be in Brahmanical nature. That's because the society is very much in need of or want of Brahmanical culture, Brahmanas qualities. So the emphasis is how Krishna himself is trying to set an example of how we should be on the level of a pure devotional service. So we all know, beyond these four orders is a Vaishnava. We've heard this many times. So the idea is, if you may be acting in the capacity of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, but each one of us are eligible of becoming a pure devotee of Krishna by rendering devotional service. Everybody can chant Hare Krishna. Everybody can do services to please Krishna. May it a Brahmana, Grihastha, whatever capacity one may be in. But everybody has the capacity of becoming a pure devotee of Krishna. So there is no bar that only Brahmanas can become a devotees of Krishna and not the other social orders of the society. No. Everybody, whatever they may be doing, if they are executing their devotional service according to their social orders, for a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, isn't it? And everybody is eligible. But Prabhupada wanted and sees this society less than Shudras. He says first class, second class, third class, fourth class, okay, you can train them, but now I see they are fifth class and sixth class. So there is a great responsibility. So as devotees of Krishna and Prabhupada, disciples of Prabhupada, we have great responsibility. So I would like to read from a letter Prabhupada writes and reinforces. This is a letter to one of the disciples where Prabhupada is talking about an institution. How should an institution be formed? A Bhakti Vedanta institution, kind of. So if we have to go get into the business of educating people, so the first aspect that Prabhupada says is, okay. So in the beginning, we can, if we start a Varnashrama college to teach internationally students from all over the world to learn the education as Brahmana, as Kshatriya, as a Vaishya, Shudra, by quality and work, that will be the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. So, without becoming a qualified Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, nobody can become a Krishna conscious person. That means in that way. You have to be, these are the preliminary steps. It is the duty of the government to see that everyone is employed. Prabhupada is writing the shortcomings of the government where they are not able to identify these categories, and the society is in mess. So Prabhupada writes, the intelligent class of men or the Brahmanas, the martial class of men, the Kshatriyas, the productive class of men, the Vaishyas, and the working class of men, Shudras, all have the right to chant Hare Krishna mantra, and by such devotional service, everyone will be elevated to the transcendental platform. But there must be a division according to the quality and work. At the present moment, so many so-called educated persons are unemployed because of the division of work is neglected. We see here, having big degrees, they might have come out from esteemed colleges, even abroad, but they are not well employed. We see their shortcoming with their work, short of kind of work they want to identify and do. So that's what Prabhupada is recognizing. There is nobody to kind of find out who falls in what category. That's the shortcoming. It is very scientific way to keeping peace in the world. Brahmana class should be highly cultured in spiritual understanding. By the Vedic knowledge, they will be able to educate the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and the Shudras in the value of life. So, there is a great responsibility for the Brahmanas to educate the other three sections. Prabhupada says, therefore, everyone is in darkness. The Krishna conscious movement is supposed to create actual intellectuals to guide society. The process is very simple. If you kindly consider it on the point that Varnashrama college is started, then it is successful. So, the education system, Prabhupada is mentioning about this social orders of society. 4 orders of, so that's the significance of importance of this orders, and that leads to the Krishna conscious levels. Okay, so there is one more point that Prabhupada signifies. On being a devotee of the Lord. This is very interesting. Prabhupada says, there was a famine in 1942 where Prabhupada was a householder having a small business, he was working in a Bose Laboratories, and he was a grihastha with 2-3 kids, wife, family. So he was saying artificially the government had manipulated and created an artificial famine. So sometimes to exploit the people with more money, they sometimes try and withhold some grains which are the basic necessities, or withhold some pulses which are the basic, like vegetables. If you withhold and try and exploit the people for a better rate, and so an artificial famine was created. So Prabhupada says at that time there are many people who for want of food had to die. And there was a lot of criticism, but it was a British rule. And so Prabhupada says, in this aspect also, in that time also, those who were devotees of the Lord were protected by the Lord, and there was no sort of need for want of food or whatever is needed. So this calls for understanding that if somebody is religious, somebody is following the principles as told by Krishna or acharyas, they will be never short of anything that are the basic necessities. They can be peacefully existing, and Lord is protecting such devotees. So Prabhupada writes, I was never perturbed in that situation as well. I had to lead a family, but he in fact mentions those days 1 kg of rice, I'm not sure exactly, approximately I would mention 1 kg of rice, maybe about 50 paisa. So Prabhupada says it came to 10 rupees. So inflation was so high, people weren't able to afford it, and people had to die. And Prabhupada says, in that time also I had no problems. Lord had taken care. So it shows, if somebody is a devotee of the Lord Krishna, he is the protector and Yogeshwara. He mystically acts, and that's how people will be benefited and never be in want of something that a human being is supposed to have. With this I close. If you have any questions, I will take. Okay. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణ వాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 9133107700. హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా